I should have listened to them. The parents' warning wasn't casual. It wasn't a superstition or a joke. When they left me that night, I remember the father's hand trembling as he slid his coat on, his eyes darting toward the glass wall of the high-rise apartment. "Whatever happens, don't look out the window after midnight." Those were his last words before the door shut, leaving me alone with their daughter. I thought it was weird. A little creepy, maybe, but people have strange traditions, right? I laughed it off. I'm not laughing anymore. 11 p.m. The apartment was on the 15th floor. From the living room window, the city stretched out in glittering veins of neon and traffic. The building's glass panes reflected endless lights like a mirror stacked against the night. The girl, Emily, was quiet, maybe 7 years old. She sat cross-legged on the couch hugging a stuffed rabbit. "You don't have to worry," I told her. "Your parents said they'll be back late, but I'll be here." She didn't look at me. She stared at the window. "They knock," she whispered. Her words made my skin crawl. "Who knocks?" I asked, but she didn't answer. 11:30 p.m. It started with the tapping, soft at first, like raindrops, except it wasn't raining. Tap, tap, tap. I froze, the remote slipping in my hand. The sound was coming from the window. The 15th floor. There shouldn't have been anything outside that glass. My brain scrambled for an explanation, maybe a bird, but the sound was too steady, too deliberate, like fingernails dragging across the pane. Emily buried her face into the stuffed rabbit. Her voice was muffled when she spoke. "They're early tonight." 11:45 p.m. The scratching grew louder. I tried ignoring it, turned the TV volume up until the laugh track of some late-night sitcom filled the room. But beneath the canned laughter, I could still hear it. Tap, scrape, tap. It felt like the sound was inside my skull. I gripped the remote so tightly my knuckles turned white. Finally, I stood and walked toward the window. The city lights shimmered below, cars threading between skyscrapers. Myself, it was in my head. But then, just at the edge of the glass, I saw it. A fingerprint, pressed from the outside, smudged, greasy, sliding down the pane. 11:55 p.m. Emily's voice snapped me out of my trance. "Don't open it," she said firmly, her stuffed rabbit clutched against her chest. "They only knock when they know your name." Her words made no sense, yet every part of me knew she wasn't lying. Heart hammering, and sat on the couch. We waited in silence. The tapping grew frantic. The glass rattled in its frame, vibrating like it would shatter. And then, it stopped. The silence was worse. 12. Midnight. The clock on the wall ticked over. At first, nothing. Just the drone of city traffic below. Then came the whisper. Faint, just barely audible. My name. I swear to God, it whispered my name. Michael. My lungs locked up. I hadn't told anyone here my name. The parents didn't even ask. It was arranged through an agency. Emily never called me anything. But the voice outside the window knew, and it said it again. Michael. Drawn out, stretched, as if the night itself was calling me. 12:10 a.m. Emily cried silently on the couch. I stood rooted in place, every instinct screaming at me to leave, but how? The only exit was the front door, and to get there I'd have to pass the window. The whisper grew louder, closer. Michael. Look at me. My body shook with the urge to look. The curtains trembled as if something pressed against them from the outside. A shadow spilled across the floor, tall, elongated, limbs wrong in proportion. I clamped my hands over my ears, but the whisper wasn't in my ears. It was in my head. 12:20 a.m. The scratching returned, harder this time. Nails, claws, whatever it was, dragging deep grooves into the glass. I wanted to scream for help, but who would hear me on the 15th floor? Emily's small voice broke through the sound. If you look, it comes inside. Her eyes were red from crying, but her tone was steady, practiced, like she'd said it before. How do you know that? I whispered. She hugged the rabbit tighter. Because Mommy looked last year. 12:30. I couldn't take it anymore, the pressure in my skull, the suffocating dread. It was unbearable. My legs carried me to the window against my will. My fingers reached for the curtain, I pulled it back, and there it was. A face. Pale, pressed against the glass. Skin stretched too tight, eyes hollow pits dripping black tears. Its mouth unhinged, whispering my name backward now, syllables twisted and broken. Leachim, Leachim. My scream tore through the apartment. The thing's smile widened, teeth splintered like shattered glass. The window began to slide open. 12:35, it turned icy. A hand reached through, fingers impossibly long, skin gray and veined. They curled toward me, talons scraping the wood floor. I stumbled back, knocking over the lamp. The bulb shattered, plunging the room into shadows. Emily screamed. I spun. She wasn't on the couch anymore. The rabbit lay abandoned on the cushions. Emily! I shouted. But only laughter answered me. Not hers. The thing's. 12:40 a.m. The apartment was alive with shadows. Every corner, every wall bulged with writhing shapes, faces pressed against the wallpaper, mouths opening in silent cries. The hand reached further, the window now wide open though we were 15 stories high. Wind roared through the room, carrying that stench of rot and something older, fouler. I crawled backward until my spine hit the far wall. The thing climbed inside. 12:45 a.m. It wasn't human. Its body unfolded like smoke, solidifying into flesh. Too many joints, limbs bending the wrong way. Its head rotated slowly until the empty eyes locked onto mine. It whispered again. Not my name this time, Emily's. The sound came from every direction, vibrating the walls, rattling the floorboards. And then I saw her. She was standing in the hallway, eyes blank, walking toward it like she was sleepwalking. Stop! I screamed, but my voice was swallowed by the wind. The thing bent down, stretched its mouth impossibly wide, and swallowed her whole. 12:55 a.m. silence. The shadows receded. The wind died. The window was closed again, spotless, as though nothing had ever touched it. I was alone, but when I turned toward the couch, Emily sat there again, stuffed rabbit in her arms. Her face was pale, her lips bloodless. You shouldn't have looked, she said flatly. 1 a.m. When the parents came home, they found me crouched in the middle of the room, nails torn bloody from clawing the floor. Emily sat beside me, calm, unbothered. She looked, the girl said, pointing at me. The mother's face drained of color. The father's jaw trembled. They didn't speak to me. They just pulled Emily into their arms. As they carried her away, I noticed her eyes catch the light. They weren't brown anymore. They were black pits. Epilogue. I was taken away that night. Police, paramedics, questions I couldn't answer. I tried explaining what happened, but no one believed me. How could they? But I know the truth. I know what I saw pressed against that window. And I know that Emily isn't Emily anymore. Because every night since then, when I close my eyes, I hear it. That same whisper, calling my name, scraping at the glass of my skull, begging me to look.